Nå det skolestart, og det synonymt med at norske barn får besøk av helsesykepleien som har med bagen sin med sprøyter. Det tar lang tid, veldig lang tid, for vanlige folk å få vite sannheten om barnevaksiner. Derfor mener jeg at enhver forelder må sette seg dypere inn enn hva skolen, leger og helsestasjon informerer om. Visste du at ikke en eneste barnevaksine har blitt testet slik som vi har blitt forespeilet, hverken før eller etter lisensiering? Det har kommet frem nå nylig. Og visste du at barn som følger sprøyteprogrammet sykere enn de som ikke gjør det? Følg godt med i de videoene som følger her.
We were definitely looking at every single patient born in my practice. Every baby born was looked at, and we looked at every single office visit.
Okay.
So basically we had over 500 who had 0 vaccines, and then we had another 3,700 and some who had some vaccines. And what we found, Del, was actually even mind-boggling for myself. The one thing I am absolute on is informed consent. You, the parent, get to decide what gets injected into your baby, if anything.
Right.
You should always insist on that or else walk out of that doctor's office. What I was clearly seeing was these kids don't get sick. They don't get chronic conditions. Well, the data spoke for itself. The more vaccines you had, the worse you were for whether we looked at infections, ADD, ADHD, neurodevelopmental issues, eczema, allergies. It doesn't matter what we looked at, even just plain old anemia skyrockets in the vaccinated when compared to the blue line, the unvaccinated.
And my current opinion about vaccinations is that they have never been safe. Never has there been a safe vaccine. Never will there be a safe vaccine, and it is not possible to have a safe vaccine. The people that were vaccinated were among the sickest, that many children were dying after smallpox vaccinations, that they were developing terrible ulcerations, beautiful, perfect babies, forced into smallpox vaccines, either dying or developing terrible, terrible diseases. Those of us who actually notice the science is not backing up vaccination, those of us who notice that people are being maimed and killed by vaccinations, those of us who have experienced our own vaccine reactions are categorically thought to be mad. It's money and it's power. Parents are being told to bring their 2-month, 4-month, 6-month-old infants in to have them injected with some 24 different disease matter injections, complete with the polysorbate 80, amounts of aluminum that are absolutely unsafe.
And so we have not evaluated the safety of the aluminum nanoparticle and its injection and where it goes when it gets into the body and whether it gets into the brain. Do vaccine ingredients belong in the brain? No. But animal studies using the same chemicals that are in vaccines that we give to children directly demonstrate that the vaccine ingredients do enter the brain. We are ignoring this information. There are scientists in Europe who've actually done studies on the aluminum nanoparticle and have shown that it can persist in the brain for years and decades. And so what we're seeing is a large outbreak of neurodevelopmental disabilities in adults, including Alzheimer's. And one of the main factors that they're finding in the brains of people with Alzheimer's is the aluminum nanoparticle that's directly related to the vaccines that we're giving.
It's the only product I'm aware of where it is the government defend the company, the product, against the consumers claiming injury in the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. Leading up to 1986, there were only 3 routine vaccines in the United States, totaling 7 injections. That's it. There are currently, by the way, 19 vaccines on the CDC schedule, totaling 84 injections. With that said, leading up to 86, the amount of liability from those 3 products, which were DTP, OPV, and MMR, were so great that every manufacturer went out of business or stopped making them, so there's only one manufacturer left. Congress decided, instead of forcing what companies always have to do, make a better, safer product, instead it passed the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act that said you can keep selling your product even though it causes harm. You don't need to make a better and safer product.
They had gathered in the leaders of the vaccine program for every country who's a member of the WHO. And she gives her presentation and says that the problem is the families and the family physicians want scientific proof that vaccines are safe and effective. And there is none. And everybody's sort of sitting around staring at each other like, well, oh no. And that's when I realized, oh my God, this has been a 100-year bluff. This whole thing is a bluff. But then it gets worse. The head of the Nigerian vaccine program says, well, wait a minute. I don't just need studies that say one vaccine in each vaccine is safe and effective. I need to know if I put this whole cocktail of vaccines together in one little body, that in combination, the cocktail is safe and effective. And then everybody's looking at each other like, oh, and that's when I realized they have nothing. They have nothing. The whole thing is an empty hand. It's a bluff.
Og hvis ikke dette får deg til å bli bekymret for barnets helse, så vet ikke jeg.